All right, so what's going on, guys? So in today's video, I've got a quick budget-minded mod that might actually help you drive a little bit faster. Now, this is something that's been around for a really long time. A lot of guys have done it. I picked this up back in my DSM days. This is where I got this trick from. I actually shared it with Trey as well. He ran it for years with no problem. And I'm actually headed over there right now. So I'm going to grab what I need, get in the car, and head over to his house. All right, so we're actually over here. We got Amari here, too. It's awfully quiet in here if y'all been doing some work.
We doing analytical work. Yeah, there's a difference.
We might be stuck. We might be stuck.
I mean, this is the only thing that's a variable in this whole.
Trying to act like you know what they're talking about. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna let them do their thing real quick, not make too much noise. But what I got is some window weld, and you see I've got 3 engine mounts. Why do I have 3? So I left the other one at home, so I have to do that one later. So what you have is your rear, your front, and your timing side mount for your clips, or whatever. And what this is like urethane. About $20 a tube. They make some cheaper versions, but they're not as good, just kind of my experience, as this stuff right here. And what we're going to do is actually make our own DIY solid mounts. Think of it as a midpoint between your stock mounts and your aftermarket urethane mounts. But like I said, this is $20, whereas those kits can run $100 plus. So saving a lot of money. And even as this guy, once he get a little time, he's actually ran these for. How long did you run them on your old car?
Maybe like 5-6 years, and the car was what, 300 something horsepower.
Yeah.
And I did it at the track. What happened was, the window weld mounts do work. They do work at the track, and they are great for the street. The car does not vibrate as much as solid mounts or any of those other things out there. But it is a service life for them. After a while, it will leak. But it's a great alternative to spending a lot of money. So check it out.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we talking about $20. What do you say?
You told me about them back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we talking $20. So after 5 years of drag racing and street pulls and all this other stuff, you need to replace them. You haven't really lost a whole lot there. So pretty simple process. You're looking at mounts. All your OEM mounts are going to have these little gaps between them. That's just how they're designed to reduce the transfer of energy that comes naturally from having an engine, right? So we're just going to fill in these gaps with the urethane. And again, so I don't know. Now, obviously, you are going to have a bit more vibration in the cabin because that energy has to go somewhere. But the softer material, the less vibration you'll have. So obviously, the full-on urethane thing will give you quite a bit more vibration. And of course, solid mounts, like metal mounts, are going to transfer all of that energy to the cabin. So this will help with wheel hop. This can help with you missing shifts if you're having that problem, if your engine's moving a lot. Overall performance of your car, this will help with. And again, like I said, for $20, definitely something that I think you have to do if you're not willing to go with like full-on like polyurethane mounts. So I got it loaded up. Typical cheap kind of caulk gun I got here. I did kind of wipe these off. They don't need to be too clean, but again, you want to give it something to stick to. There's 2 ways to do this, really. Once you get it ready to go, you just fill up the whole thing. But of course, if you do it that way, it's going to take a lot longer to dry. But if you're not under a time crunch, what I would recommend is just to fill half of it. I will just fill one side and then let that dry, flip it over, and then fill the other side. Now, you can take your time if you want. You can use your finger, I think maybe wax paper or something else to kind of make it look a little more professional, so it doesn't look too homemade, but I'm really not worried about that at this point. But that's just something for you to keep note of. You can take the back off, use wax paper, use your finger to smooth it. It's a lot of ways you can do it. But at this point, we're ready to just get to it, start filling. And actually, before we get started on that, he got some new engine bay blank. I mean, you can't really see it, but this thing, masterpiece. All of KLM stuff looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Comparing to the.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
you know.
Hey, it is what it is,
that's
right?
Progression
That's progress. That's learning experience.
That's kid and that's pops right there.
The professional
You need some
work. Okay, KLM. I'm not worried about it. But anyway, so now, like I said, now we're gonna get back to and actually film these motor mounts. So of course, this is gonna be difficult to do with one hand. So once we get it ready to go, I don't think this is an OEM front mount. You can actually see it says a little bit of urethane, not completely separated, but that should help me make less of a mess. So anyway, so I'm gonna start with this one first to give you guys the idea. Then put the camera down, of course, do the rest of them. This is the basic idea. We're just gonna fill these up. I'm gonna go ahead and put the camera down. This is a little bit harder than I thought it was gonna be. All right, so you go, guys. You can see I got it half full. This is a workout, so you need to get you one of the little hand things before you try doing this, or you know, an automatic one preferably. But that's all we're doing. We're spilling it up, layering it. I only did half of it, and then I'll let this dry and then fill the other side. But now I'm supposed to do this one and then the top half of the rest of these. All right, guys. So that's about 30 minutes later. I'm about halfway through. I got them smoothed out. I think they look pretty good considering. So we're just gonna let these harden and then take them home and fill up the other side. Now, just because I am a little curious, I'm gonna see how much of this stuff I actually use. So, like I said, I'm about half done, and I have only used, I don't know the exact measurement we did, but really a couple inches out of this tube. I think the plunger is about right there where my thumb is. So you can easily do a full set of 4 and then have some left over. All right, guys, so I'm actually back at home. I'm gonna show you a trick that Trey mentioned. And if you saw his video already, this is what he was talking about. But when you go to smooth these over, so obviously when you get your mounts and you're kind of doing the top layer, you still want them to look presentable, right? You don't want them to look too bad, or at least so I would think. Now, granted, we're not doing this for aesthetics, but you still want it to look nice. And you use a piece of ice, and you use this to help smooth the urethane out. So if you look, it allows you kind of get a smooth contour. And of course, most people have ice makers or whatever in the house, so it won't cost you anything. And then of course, when you're done, there's pretty much no cleanup. So you obviously don't want to get any water like down inside of. But once you're done and just kind of finishing off the top, you know, go ahead and break out the ice cube and kind of smooth it out. So I just put some more on this mount. And as you can see, you can smooth it right out. So you can have a nice looking mount. So, I mean, you look at that, see the final results. That looks pretty good. Now, obviously, if you're doing this, you're not really worried about aesthetics. You're just doing this purely for the performance gain of it. But I do think it's a nice touch, and just because you're doing a cheap mod doesn't mean it has to look cheap, in my opinion. So anyway, so you can play with this all day to get it how you want to. I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to look at the rest of them to see if there are any areas I want to touch up. You know, I'm going to add a little bit of silicone to those areas, a little bit of urethane. So it's really up to you how much you want to play with it. Just remember, nobody's going to see these anyway. So that is a tip for you. The ice cube works well for finishing off the top of your mount. Alright guys, so it's actually been a couple weeks since I filmed that video of me filling the mounts. I put the mounts up, let them dry, and I actually forgot about them. I've been working on it a lot. We did run into another issue that I'll kind of detail you on later. Not a huge issue, but more of an annoying one. Like, in addition to I'm trying to get this thing ready to pass a legitimate inspection. But as I was going through my kind of parts wall, I saw my mounts up there and figured I'd go ahead and finish up this video for you guys. This is what they look like. Again, they're not perfect, but they're not bad. I don't know if I mentioned this, but these two mounts are not factory mounts. It looks like they're probably just replacement ones. I'm not sure where they came from. And of course, this one looks like it is stock. Now, in your engine bay, you're going to be replacing this mount, the mount that's kind of down there on the cross member. There's one in the back, and then there's one over here. Now what I didn't mention is the reason I only end up filling 3 was because I don't have a spare manual transmission mount. So I did forget when I was filming that one mount is different between the automatic and manual, and that's why I just had the 3. But if you're looking at doing something like this, or even replacing it with like legitimate solid mounts, so you might be wondering what is the most important one to replace if you only had to pick one. And for me, that would be the one that's in the front on the cross member. So most of the movement in the engine, at least the noticeable movement, is going to be front to back. Then you take that, you consider that the front one is fairly easy to get to. It's really just 3 bolts. There's one that holds it to a bracket on the engine, and then 2 that hold it down to the cross member. And that one alone makes a big difference. Because of course, when you're accelerating, the engine wants to rock backwards. So have that front one that won't move. It keeps the engine from rocking back as much. And it should help eliminate some engine movement and some wheel hop. But anyway, with that said, I want to thank you guys for watching my video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, and I'll catch you guys later.